Hello everyone, hope you have a lovely day. So yeah, it's Sunday, special Sunday. So let's talk about other things. Yeah, tools down. Let's speak about other things. You know the program that we have been doing, like attending to comment section. Because this is not a one-man band, I have to come back to you guys and attend to one or two things. So how is everyone? How is the weekend? How is my neighboring country, South Africa? Huh? Hope people they are fixing stuff there. This side is some kind of law, so we have more time to play like before. So we need to attend to comment section, and you have some electronic oral talks. We need to check there what is in the comment section, what people they are asking, what people they are, the feedback that is being dropped by the by our subscribers there. So I think it's a good moment to go back in time and check what we have there on the comment section. Okay, so where is the comment section? That's our community. Yes, we are on the community section. So people they will leave in comments, but I'll try to answer whatever I can answer today, since we have a time. So let's start with this comment. That's good. What causes the caps to bulge? Because I fixed many TV with that fault, and normally they don't last long until the caps burn again. Okay. I don't know why. I don't know what's that. I don't know why you are saying they don't last. Hmm? I'm not sure about that. But according to me, I fixed so many TVs. And what I found, uh, one of the common fault on TVs are capacitors. You know electrolyte capacitors, like this one. This is an electrolyte capacitor. They are getting bump on top, huh? Like bulged capacitors. So what can cause this? What can cause this electrolyte capacitor to have a bump on top? According to me, I think everything is built on a limit. Huh? If you check this capacitor, this is a 500 volts, 1000 microfarads. So it has some limit. So if it happens that there is over voltage or over current, yeah, we might have such kind of problem, because every component on the motherboard is built based on limits. Excessive voltage or current can kill that component. Huh? After all, everything is business these days. If they make capacitors which are not going to fail, there will be no business anymore. So that is a strategy to keep the world going. Components, they are meant to fail. Okay, so let's go to another comment. Let's go to another comment. Another comment. Hello, say please is your DC power supply linear or switching mode? Does it have embedded short killer? Short killer. What do you mean short killer? I think the subscriber wanted to say short circuit killer. Okay. So my power supply which I'm using on my desk, this one, I can make this bigger. This power supply which I'm using is a Webcams DC power supply. This is a linear power supply. The first one which I bought on the initial was a switching power supply. And that switching power supply did not last. I think I used it like 2-3 months, and the power supply died. I tried to fix it. I could not manage to fix it, to bring back to life. I couldn't manage to bring back to life. So what I did, I ordered a linear power supply. You know, the old one which I was using. If you check my old videos, you see the cable the switching power, the power supply which I was using. That was a linear power supply. And even today, that power supply is still working. But I changed to this one because I was much concerned with the USB power meter display. So if you want to buy a power supply, a lab power supply, I would recommend to buy a linear power supply, because a linear power supply is lasting longer as compared to a switching power supply. Plus, on a linear power supply, you have chances of fixing it in case if anything happens. Unlike a switching power supply, maybe the driver is faulty, you can't modify. You know the thing with switching power supply these days, they are trying to complicate everything. So I would recommend to buy a linear lab power supply. It gives you allowance when you make some mistakes. It's not dying so easily, because most of them, they have internal short circuit protection. Yeah, there's this video for Dell XPS 15, no power. Okay. What was the fault of this one? All right. I do remember that was a blown up. I think a blown up second MOSFET. How did the technician neglect to check a blown up MOSFET? Also to change fan. What? Someone told me some laptops have to get hot so that the fan starts spinning. Yeah, on the here you have mentioned two things. On the first issue, how did the other technician neglect to check a blown up MOSFET? Trust me, I think I explained this thing many times. If you move around here, there are so many shops. We have so many shops who are trying to repair some gadgets. But the thing, they don't have tools. That's the thing. They don't have multimeters. They don't have lab power supply. They don't have microscope. But they are doing very, very nice in the repairing industry. Why? Because most of the jobs that come across, you don't even need a multimeter. Like on phones, you have to change some batteries. You have to change the LCD. Actually, those are the most jobs which you can do without a multimeter. And on the laptops, maybe the laptop came with broken hinges. You need just maybe epoxy or hot glue to join everything together. Those are some kind of stuff which you can do without any proper tools. But obvious, as a computer repair shop or as an electronic repair business, you have to acquire all the necessary tools just to make your job easy. So the technicians did not manage to replace the MOSFET. Maybe they don't have even the hot air station. Maybe they are middlemen. That's what also I found on this side of on this side of my country. Many people, they are saying they can repair things, but they are acting as middlemen. They are receiving the fault devices and they send it here. They are not doing anything. They are acting as intermediators. So obviously an intermediator probably doesn't even have a shop. But people out there, they call him, this person is a technician, but he doesn't know how things works, and they are sending things here. So probably not even anyone opened the laptop to check for MOSFET, or even they open, they see, they could not even find out what is the problem. It's not so easy to get like a proper technician with adequate electronic knowledge. What I found, mostly what I found a lot of devices which were condemned by other technicians. When I was buying like boards for space, I fixed so many boards which were dumped by other technicians. Why? Because people, they don't have proper basic electronic knowledge of checking things, what to check. If this laptop is fault, what am I supposed to check? What is fault? What is the diagnosis procedure to say this is my problem? So that's the thing. That's the thing. And on the cooling system, you know how the fans, they are spinning on laptop motherboards. When you power on the switch, the EC chip is reading all the power supply to see if everything is okay, and is communicating with the BIOS chip and the GPU and the processor to start up the motherboard. So on the cooling system, laptops differs. You might press on the power on switch on a certain laptop and the fan starts spinning that instant. On other mode of laptop, we have some sensors there which are sensing the temperature on the CPU, like those CPU which are soldered on the motherboard. Is sensing if the temperature rise up, the fan will start cooling, just to protect the CPU from being dead. So that's the thing. If you press on the power on button and the fan didn't spin at first, it doesn't mean that the fan's their fault. Maybe they are waiting for the CPU to reach up to a certain temperature level, and then they'll start spinning. Can you kindly help me with my Connex Slimbook L1470 audio drivers? You know, on some Connex laptops, the audio drivers, you have some options there. If you don't have audio drivers, you have some options. Maybe you can restart, like to refresh the PC back to its original state. Maybe you might be lucky to have some drivers, or you can connect to internet and try to update the drivers, or you might try to look for a matching driver pack and try to pick up the drivers for the audio there. That's what you can try. Can the RAM be expanded and an SSD installed on that model, or is everything soldered to the motherboard. I don't know. That was a Lenovo N24. Lenovo N24. Can I play this video? Can I play the video? Okay. Can the RAM be expanded? Uh, let's play the video. I'm eager to know the kind of RAM which was on this motherboard. I can't remember whether that was a soldered RAM or is removable. That's the video. No. Okay. Yeah, I do remember. I do remember this. I do remember. So the story, the story, the story with this onboard RAM memory. Yeah, you can. I don't know if there's a way to expand, like to increase the onboard RAM memory. I don't know if there's a way to do that. I never done that. We're talking about this. Let's make this bigger. Yeah, this is a motherboard with the onboard RAM memory. I don't know if there's a way to increase this. I don't know if there's a way. Uh, if there's a way, I wish to know how to do it. I wish to know how to do it. But what I found on this kind of motherboards with the RAM so that if the laptop is coming on with no display and the problem is emanating from the onboard RAM, and you also have another slot here for the external RAM. What you can do, you don't have many options there. You might try to reflow the chips. Maybe you can be lucky to bring back the display. If you can't bring back the display, you can desolder all these chips. After desolder this chip, you reprogram the BIOS chips. Here we have two BIOS chips. We have the main BIOS and this one for the backup. So you can desolder all these chips, you reprogram the BIOS. When you put back the BIOS chip on the board and you try to power on the laptop, the E.C chip is reading everything and it will switch to the external RAM memory and you get back the display. That's what I've tried and that worked for me. But in the on the issue of upgrading the storage, maybe we have 4 gig onboard RAM. You want to make it 8. I never tried that. But what I've tried and I found it working was to disable the onboard RAM memory and switch to the external one. Yeah, that is possible. You can do it. You can do it. All you need is to desolder this. You reprogram the BIOS chip. It will read the external one. So let's go to questions again. Let's go to questions again. Audio. Um, yeah, unfortunately, you didn't get to fix. You should show us one way you change the firmware. Also, why do you have gloves on? Is it cold? You know, on the glove side, people they thought that if a technician is working without gloves, that person is not professional. But that is not true. The professionalism is not measured based on wearing gloves. So sometimes I can work with gloves depending with the gadget that I'm working. If the gadget is too dusty, maybe I can put on some gloves. But I hate working on gloves. I want to have the nice feeling when I touch the motherboards. Yeah? So usually I'm not working with gloves. And on the decoders, this comment is coming from an OpenView satellite receiver, which I fixed. In most cases, you find the OpenView. You will find the OpenView. I'm talking about these small items. What you will find here, you will find like is stuck on red light or a stuck on green light, but not. But it's not that easy to bring back this OpenView satellite receiver back to life. I fixed many, but the rate of successful maybe is 30-40%. In most cases, I'm not winning. Why? Because there's the processor there. That processor is dying so easily. Like it's stuck on red light. You checked all the voltages, they are okay, and the CPU is getting very hot. There's nothing that you can do there. And how much is this? It's very cheap. So I will be, at the end, I will recommend the customer just to buy another one. You might be lucky if you reflow the processor and bring back this to life. But in most cases, the processor is gone. You can't do anything. It's just a matter of wasting time. This is the common bad fault on this satellite receiver. The CPU is dying so easily. Fixed it. Thanks. Tried it. I tried to hold the power on button for 1 minute, but it did not work. That was an Asus X501M. That was powering on with black screen. If you try to do the basics and it's not working, check other things. Maybe you have a CPU problem. Maybe the E.C chip, the embedded controller is faulty. It can be anything. Maybe the switch button is faulty. So you have to check other things. You have to check other things. That's the only way to fix many devices. If you got stuck at certain stage, just ignore that whatever you are checking. Ignore and check some other things. How do you test a capacitor? For example, the one you replaced. I don't even know what kind of capacitor did I replace on this sound amplifier, but I guess that was an electrolyte capacitor. How do you test a capacitor? How do you test a capacitor? I think this subscriber is on the beginner side, because if we are to talk of testing capacitor, this is a capacitor. This is an electrolyte capacitor. We have electrolyte capacitor. We have a non-electrolyte capacitor, like the ceramic capacitor with no polarity. You know those ceramic capacitors, which are connected on the 19 volts power line on laptop motherboards. Those ones doesn't have polarity. They don't have plus and minus. And how do you test a non-electrolyte capacitor with no polarity? one side should not beep with another side. If it's beeping, yeah, in most cases that capacitor is faulty and you have to replace it. But if it's beeping on the motherboard, you have to know which section of the motherboard that you are checking. Maybe you are checking on the vehicle section and you find both sides of the capacitor is beeping and you think the capacitor is faulty. No, the capacitor is not faulty. That is, you are actually what you are checking is the internal resistance of the CPU. It's not even the capacitor. So that's the thing about a ceramic or non-electrolyte capacitor. On this one, you have the marked area here. This is the negative and the unmarked side is the plus. How we can check this capacitor? The first thing, if this capacitor is on the motherboard, disolder the capacitor. After disolder, let's say we disolder this capacitor, the next step is to discharge the capacitor. After discharging, we have a multimeter there. Let me make this multimeter bigger. Maybe that can help someone. We have the capacity, that's my multimeter, which is on the screen. So how we can check this capacitor? I'll put it on the capacitance mode. We discharge our capacitor. So let's check this capacitor. Let's check minus, plus. We have 99 microfarads. And this one is, if you can check, it's 100 volts, 500 volts, 100 microfarads. So we have tolerance there. We have maybe minus or plus 15 or 20% tolerance. We can check even a different one. This one is 500, 100. It's almost the same. We can discharge this and check the capacitance of this capacitor, 95 microfarads. So it's very easy, but you need to go on the beginner lessons. I think I explained some of the things, only the basics of checking components. You have to go there. So what question is next? Greetings, sir. Hope all is well. I got a question based on your recent video on ProLine notebook. Question is based on SSD drive board. It looks like I'm missing a flex cable that connects the HDD and the SSD board to the motherboard. What type of cable should I acquire to connect both motherboards? The type of cable that you have to acquire is the cable that is missing there. And in order to know what cable is missing there, we have every laptop motherboard has got board number. You can search for board number and you can try to search for that part using motherboard board number. I think that's the only way, because you can't just buy any flex cable, because chances of buying a wrong flex cable is so high. I'm learning about laptop repair. Today I have a customer. His HP laptop has a weird fault. Sometimes it's on without display and the fans are spinning at full speed. Only no display, fans are spinning at full speed. Half-dead device is so hard to fix. Trust me. A half-working device, be it a laptop or a TV or anything, is so hard to fix. But if it's coming on without display, you can check 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 the voltages on every coil. Check the voltage for the CPU, check the voltage for the GPU power supply, and also uh, you can check with the external monitor to see if it's displaying. Maybe the problem is coming from the flex cable that is connecting the motherboard to the screen, or you can try, maybe we have some BIOS issue, we have some RAM issue. You might have a lot of problems which is leading to this. Trust me. But try to check if the vehicle section is working fine, if the GPU power supply and the RAM power supply is working fine. But it can be anything. If I reheat the chip, it will power on. Which chip are you reheating? Huh? Which chip are you heating? Are you reheating? Are you reheating the GPU or the CPU or the E.C chip? Which chip are you reheating? It means that the problem is emanating from that chip. If it's the E.C chip, you can replace it. If it's the processor, I don't think you can do anything unless if you have a reballing machine, you can swap the CPU. Here, I'm not swapping the CPU because they don't pay. And besides that, I found it useless to order that reballing machine. It's so expensive, people, they pay less this side. So depending with the country that you are, you can try to replace the CPU, because I understand maybe the model of your HP laptop are those ones with the CPU and the CPU, GPU, and the PCH inside one chip, single chipboard. Huh? How do you diagnose a RAM that is soldered on the motherboard? Hard to say. Huh? Hard to say. How do you diagnose a RAM that is soldered on the motherboard? I think I explained this. I explained this a few minutes ago. Here, you can't do many things here. You can't do many things with this RAM that is soldered on the motherboard. You can't check. That's the thing. You have a laptop that is coming on with no display. What you can do, because here we have some solder balls under this chip. We have some solder balls, and those solder balls, they can have some loose connection, they can have some cracks, and it's very possible for the laptop to come on with no display. What you can do, you can open the laptop and try to press this RAM or this onboard RAM memory chips. You can press this and try to power on the laptop. Maybe you can find out some lines, or it's coming on and freezing. What you can do here maybe is to reflow all those chips. You might be lucky to bring back the laptop to life. Here you can't diagnose anything on the onboard RAM memory. What you can diagnose is to check if the RAM power supply is bringing enough voltage for the memory, like 1.2 volts, 1.3, 1.5 to 2 point something, depending with the laptop motherboard. You can check the switching power supply for the RAM. That's what you can diagnose to see if this laptop is coming on with no display. Do we have voltage on this onboard RAM section? That's what you can check actually. Otherwise, you can't do too much there. If you have two slots, like what I've said before, you can disable this onboard and switch to the external. by taking off all those soldered memory chips and reprogram the BIOS to read the external RAM memory. I bought a programmer, a BIOS programmer, almost 6 months ago, and I didn't receive my parcel. It depends with the supply. I told you about Aliexpress. If you order it on Aliexpress, did you check? Because on Aliexpress it's so tricky. On this world is so tricky nowadays. There are so many scammers. People they are trying to get what they didn't work for. So the only way to is to assess the supplier before you put an order on AliExpress. And how do you do it? Check the number of orders on that particular product. If that supplier pushed more orders, it means there is the probability that is a reliable supplier. You might found that supplier to be a scammer also, but you can check on the number of orders that have been pushed by that supplier. You can also look for verified suppliers. You can also check on customers' reviews. They are so important. You check for reviews, what other customer they are saying about that supplier. That will give you a conclusion if that person is right or not, or if that company is the right one to deal with or not. But on my side, everything that I ordered, I received it. I don't have problem with the suppliers on AliExpress so far. How much did it cost to how much did it cost to set it up? You know, my setup which I'm using on my workshop. My setup which I'm using on my workshop, it depends with where you buy so your items. So it depends. So, but what I can say, you don't really need too much money to set up an electronic repair workshop, because you need some basics. You need just a cheap multimeter, a cheap hot air station, a cheap lab power supply. Unless if you are on the recording side, maybe you need some proper webcams and microphone, maybe a 4K microscope. So you don't really need to spend too much if you are to start a repair business, because the money to buy tools have to come out of the repairs that you'll be doing on your table. So start by simple basic tools, and you upgrade each and every time until to get to the level that you want. Do a video where you explain and show 19 volts power flow into the motherboard. I don't know how many times did I explain about this. I don't know how many times did I explain about the input section of the laptop motherboard. I don't even know how many times. And people there, they still come to ask me the input section. But the input section is like this. If you haven't seen previous video, let's do it again. We have the charging port here. We have the plus 19 volts. Here we have a MOSFET. We have another MOSFET here. These MOSFET, they are in serial mode. 4 pins together. 3 pins here, 3 pins on the second one, and 4 pins on the output. Here we have a current resistor. This is M to the power 1, M to the power 2 current resistor. And the gates of this MOSFET, they are going to the BQ chip, the power management chip. So these are just MOSFETs. And a MOSFET is a switch. So these are just gatekeepers of the circuit. They are protecting the circuit in case of anything happen. If you have a short on the motherboard, what they are doing, they are cutting down the power. They are cutting down the power. Because what you found inside these MOSFETs, you found a diode there. So what you found here, you found a diode. That's what you found inside these MOSFETs. Just to prevent power from the battery to the charging port. So that's the input section of on many of the motherboards, like 80 to 90% of laptop motherboards. They have same schematics on the input section. I like the new model, the USB-C, where you have the power delivery IC, which is managing the USB-C ports. You will find an intercell chip there in most cases, which is dealing with USB-C and is also creating the main power rail. So the chip is stepping down 19 volts, probably to 13 point something volts on the main power rail, on the new model of laptops. But on all other old motherboards, that's what you see here. Here you might find maybe a diode before the input MOSFET. You might find a diode, you might find maybe a fuse, but that's less important. So these MOSFETs can be channel N or channel P. But what I found most, they are using N-channel MOSFETs. And from the VCC, this point is going everywhere. It's going to 1.5 volts, it's going to 5 volts, it's going to 3.3, always on for the LDO. It's going to 1 volts, it's going to 1.2 volts, probably for the CPU and for the GPU. So basically, that's the inflow of the 19 volts from the charging port to the motherboard. Here we have the plus, and the minus is going to ground. On some model of laptop like Lenovo, we have the middle pin. In some Dell laptop, we have the charger ID pin. We have the middle pin with the charge ID pin. And if that pin is not there, probably it won't charge. You have some error message on the charging. You are facing many challenges on the charging section to charge the battery. But on some Lenovo, like this board is for Lenovo. I don't know the model of this Lenovo. If you short the middle pin with plus, you burn the E.T.C chip. And here we have a BGA E.T.C chip here. That small chip. You burn it on some Lenovo laptop, certain model of Lenovo motherboards. So that's the story. That's the story. I think I've been made my day with you guys. Let me see if there's one more question for the road. Please say help me with an iPad Slim. The backlight is not going on. I can tell because at an angle there's a visual. On the backlights, yeah? Listen, my friend. Listen, my friend. On the backlights section, like this motherboard, we have this motherboard. And on this motherboard, if you pay close attention, there must be a fuse, especially on Lenovo. Because on the video that you comment, that was a Lenovo. You have to check the fuse. Maybe you have a blown up fuse, mostly for the 19 volts. And the the 19 volts is not being sent from the motherboard to the screen. Or if you have 19 volts and 3 volts, 3.3 volts, you have to check some signals there. We have BL enable. We have BL enable. We have PWM. The one is to power on the screen. The other one is to adjust brightness. You can check this. Those test points. There are some test points on the back of the screen panel. I think I have some here. Let me see. I'm trying to get something. One second. Let me see. So you have to check. You have to check if these 2 points have 3.3. In most cases, you find 3.3 on one of these test points and the other one is missing. So in order to understand, in order to understand or to fix a backlight issue on a laptop, you have to understand what are the conditions to have brightness. Yeah, you have to understand the conditions that are needed in order to have light on the screen. We must have 19 volts. We must have 3.3 enable and 3.3 PWM to power on the screen and to adjust the brightness. So these signals, they are very important. If one of the signals is missing, what I'm doing, I'm jumping from I'm coming with a jump. I will jump those 2 test points to 3.3 volts power supply. But if the 3.3 is okay and the 19 volts is missing, check the fuse. In most cases, on the motherboard side, there is a fuse there, and that fuse is not sending 19 volts to the screen. So you need to replace the fuse. The test point which I'm talking about, I think I can show you. Let's go on a microscope and check. Here, you see this PWM and BL enable. Those are the test points which I'm talking about. Those are the test points which I'm talking about. So those test points, they might be together, they might not be together. You might have some different writing. Maybe LED enable. You have to check. It depends with the schematics for that screen panel. But you have to check. You have to check. So yeah, that was it for today. That was it for today. And if you feel like you have not answered, I'm here to stay. I'm not going anywhere. And if you feel and if you see like I've skipped your question, Please try to leave another comment and I'll answer you on the next electronic oral talks. So just have a nice Sunday wherever you are. If you are on the beginner side, try to do practice. That's the only better way to learn electronics. You know those the homemade DIY projects. Grab some components, capacitor, resistors, diodes, MOSFETs, and try to see how each and every component is working. And if you feel like you have an additional contribution to the channel, it's not about questions. Comment section is not meant for questions. It's also meant for positive contributions. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe the way I'm doing things, I need to improve on certain area. You also have everyone has the right to give a comment there, because every comment, be it negative or positive, will build the channel in a better way. So just have a nice weekend. I don't know how you're gonna spend a Sunday. Maybe you are chilling at home. Maybe you love watching soccer. Maybe you're gonna go out with friends and have some 1 or 2 beers. Maybe you are a church goer, you're a believer. Yeah, people they do a lot. People they do a lot, but yeah, just stay tuned and I'll try to come with something better. See you on the next weekend conversation. Bye.